Hello and welcome to the very last episode of our podcast, Unmuzzled Conversations, with me, Christine, my brother Stuart,
Yay.
and Tommy. Oh, don't start, Tommy. Don't start.
I'm filling up already.
Don't, Tommy. You'll get me started. No. So today we thought that because it is the last episode, we would talk about the best bits. So we thought we'd talk about, we have spent 25 hours with you. If you have watched all of the podcasts, and you'll never get that time back again. If you have, thank you so much. So I thought we'd maybe go over some of the things that we've talked about during those 25 episodes and talk about our own personal favourite ones. And maybe you'd like to tell us your personal favourites on TikTok, Instagram or Facebook. So what have we covered? So the first episode we talked about the war, because that was actually our memories, Stuart, wasn't it, of our parents telling us.
It affected them.
Yeah,
all our parents' friends were all hugely affected by the war.
Mm-hmm.
And it affected us probably for about 1960, you know.
And I think it affected our parents as individuals, I think that affected how we were brought up.
Uh-huh.
You know, because I don't think anybody could be in a world war or affected by a world war, whether you were active on an operation or whether you were making munitions or whatever you were doing. You were affected by it, even if you were at home, because you had stuff like you had blackouts going on. I had my mum with the wee torch when she was coming home from the night shift. She had to shine it on the ground. She couldn't shine it up because there was blackouts. There was rationing. There was children taken away from their parents, put into the countryside where they were deemed to be safer, away from possible bombs. The public being employed in making munitions.
Her mother made the Spitfire engines that she was so proud of.
Her mother made the Spitfire engines, which she never ever stopped telling us about. Almost every opportunity she could get. So we will not forget that. But I think that the lives were so disrupted in so many different ways that I've often felt that impacted on us and how we were brought up in terms of how they as individuals would have changed.
Well, you think our dad was 20 and he was away for 6 years. Mm-hmm. So that's most people would say the most important 6 years of your life. He was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about your mum with the torch and not being able to that. What my mother was telling me, that was the fun that they made. They made fun of things that were really serious, and the police actually went round houses at night because they all had dark.
Yes,
the thing, and they used to and. Her brother used to come through and said, "Have we got a Chinese guy in here?" And they said, "No, how?" He says, "The police just shouted up, 'You've got a chink in your blind.'"
When did you edit that one out?
That's very old school, Tom.
That was
very old school.
That wasn't, don't forget, that was
in the 40s.
1939,
1940. Yeah,
that's
okay.
It. Nowadays they would...
we should be back
to
go on
a course. We need to go on a course. Right. A diversity course.
Inclusive. So what have we covered? Well, we've covered the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. We've covered all of these eras, and I think probably the ones I enjoyed the most were the ones that I was in. So I like thinking
You've been them
back.
all. You're the only person that was in them all.
But I was thinking about the ones like in the 70s and the 80s when we were. I mean, we can't talk about the 40s or really me, the 50s much because I was just born and things. So when we talked about the 60s, 70s and 80s, we were all adults, we were working, and I think I enjoyed those episodes more because we were talking about our own experiences at work, our own experiences of dating and all that kind of thing. Would you agree? Or do you,
No,
I think they were funny.
I think the ones, because they were funny.
Yeah.
I mean, and the one about the old people and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that was just like a wee comedy, really. But it was what we think, and you know, that's important to us. You know, dislike people that we don't like.
Did you have a favourite episode? Did you think?
Mine was a cull.
Was it the cull?
Yeah. But you were the funniest of everything in the dating one, Christine. Yeah. You excelled yourself.
Oh, that's kind. And a lot of that is just impromptu, isn't it? It's
not because it was true, though.
Because it was true. Which makes it fucking very sad as well. Sad but funny.
Things are here. I liked when you weren't allowed into the Versace Versace shop, you know. And
No,
I miss
it was
that
Hugo
the one?
Boss.
Hugo Boss.
It was Hugo Boss.
The guy went like that.
Aye.
I was going to say.
But
No.
I've got
That's
to be.
funny.
I'm quite happy about that, and that I think that's funny. Even though I am the victim, I'm the person being looked down on. But I know he's right. The guy's absolutely right. I had no reason to be there in Venice, the most expensive probably city in Europe.
Yeah.
What was I doing? Even
Only you had asked for my coat.
You'd
have been in. That's
If you'd
the
have
coat.
come with me, I could have walked
You
in.
could have
and your
stood behind
coattails.
me.
Your coattails.
Aye,
right.
definitely. So what did we talk about? We talked about work days. So some of the work days things, Tommy's was funny about chefing. Remember? You were talking about your experiences when you were chefing and some of the things that happened. Some of the things that happened there.
The old food out for this for
In a dump.
Aye.
the brock bin
And the guy
to
says,
serve it.
I get the
To
chef
serve
back
it.
out. I says, oh no. I told him that. Giving it a good old spit and grabbing things out the bin and flinging it in. And Stuart's stories about working in air, which are probably my favourite stories.
Oh, aye.
Working in air, and what are you eating? Bales of hay. The big lassie that was the
Vegan.
The vegan. So there were funny ones. The rivalry between Glasgow and Edinburgh. So we did talk about that. There was quite a few wee funny things with that, and a bit of information that came out of that we maybe didn't know before. The two episodes that I enjoyed the most, because I learned the most personally, were the ones about Scottish football. Because I did a wee bit of research, although you both knew what you were talking about. I didn't know anything about Scottish football. I didn't know it started sort of in the 1800s. So I enjoyed doing that, and I learned so much. And I liked the other one when we did the Rangers years with Dick Advocaat. So I really liked that, and you were able to both really draw on your own memories of that and talk about the Murray times and all that. So I personally really enjoyed that, and I liked the fact that every time we put these out, we got a lot of male followers, because you felt as if that. So it was quite a diverse things that we were talking about to bring in different age groups and different types of people.
Well, I've got a wee story that I wish I'd known at the time, Christine. It was just recently I'd seen this, and it was a documentary on the Cuban crisis in 1962, where the Americans discovered that there was Russians in Cuba, and they had medium-range missiles that could have hit Florida and further away. And the way they found out about it was absolutely astonishing. At that time, they had spy planes before they had satellites, but they couldn't see very much. They couldn't see like people or anything like that, but they could see quite big areas quite clearly. And the reason that they started to investigate it was they saw football grounds in Cuba.
Oh.
And they said, this is, they call it soccer. I hate even using the word, but that's what they would have said. Why are there soccer grounds? Cubans don't play soccer. They play baseball.
Oh, right.
So there's something happening here. And then somebody twigged, the Russians are big in football, on soccer. So then the penny dropped. And of course, it didn't mean that they were there, but it meant they started to investigate it. And that's when they discovered that it was actually Russian technicians there.
Oh.
Why are they there?
God.
Cubans don't make anything.
Is this true?
Yes,
Is this
absolutely true.
My
No, the Cubans didn't make anything. They made sugar. That was what they had. And then
Cigars.
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 Right, Tommy, yeah.
And then so they moved on for there. Wow. And that's what started the big inquiry that found out that these missiles were there. That is astonishing. All through football.
God.
Amazing.
Who knew? No. Amazing. So I really enjoyed those, and I could remember the Dick Advocaat years because I was kind of a wee bit of a fan myself at that time, and I knew
the guy staying in your hotel, didn't you?
And also I knew a woman that worked in Ibrox, and she used to let my son in and things like that. So it was kind of a bit, and we got a couple of, strips that we would just put in. You just used to go in and put them in the desk. And say, you'd put them in a bag with your name on them, and she'd say, all right, that's fine. And so when the players went by, they went, hey, I'm a Russo. Come here. Come here. Sign that for the lassie.
All right.
So
it just crossed my mind there that when the Americans when they spotted the football fields, would they have noticed there was the pies in the Bovril there at half time?
Dump people going
That's when they knew they were definitely.
And of course, my other two favourites has to be the Christmas special when I made you wear those lovely hats.
They were lovely.
Hats,
Yeah.
and the Christmas and the New Year. I thought they were really nice because it was looking back at times for me that were, especially the New Year ones, when I'm making fun of some of the things that happened that were very serious things about if somebody dared to appear and sing your song, which was plunged you into a crisis. There's no other way to put
You've been
that.
practicing the whole year for this.
Even though you did it every year.
You still
and you'd
practice.
come in and my mum would sometimes be like that. And she'd be, "I'd say what you doing? I'm practising my song." I said, "Fuck's sake, you've been doing it for about 20 years. I know, but I just like, it's got to be right. It's got to go. So I like that. And of course, the Christmas one we talked about, the fact that the real Santa was in Lewis's.
Where else?
The
would
real
you-
Santa. That is what
The
your
rest were
mum.
imposters.
Yeah. What was that?
Help us. Lord, help us.
What was it your mum said to you? Oh, but the real Santa. Because you'd seen one in McDonald's and you'd said, but how can there be two Santas? What was it your mum said?
What?
Oh, the real Santas in Lewis's.
Lewis's,
These are
the real
just,
Santas in
that's his
Lewis's.
brothers or something like that.
I think they're helpers.
It's clones.
Do you have special, any of these particular episodes that you liked or you thought, that was
I thought
quite
they were
nice?
all funny. I mean, funny enough, again, remember the story about our mum and my dad, really, with the tape recorder. And that came back to me again. I thought, Jesus Christ, they were so lucky. Nobody said anything insulting
Naivety,
or
isn't it?
salacious
Really?
about anybody there.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Fortunately, didn't. But as I said, I think I convinced them never to do that again. And it's difficult to say to your parents, look, this is what could have been said.
Because they wouldn't even
That never
think of that,
crossed their
Stuart.
minds,
Not
'cause
in a
they
million years.
never backstabbed anybody.
No.
And they never,
no.
talked about other women's bodies and men's.
No.
men's but
Not at all.
other people did. But that comes to mind, and I'm just so relieved that nothing did happen about that. But that was a real potential disaster.
Absolutely. What about you, Tommy? Do you enjoy these two episodes? Or
I like them all. The only problem that I've got now is a memory problem, with age, because everything that we've done is basically so unscripted.
Yes.
That it's if it was scripted, you would be able to say, "Oh, I remember that one."
Yeah,
because you actually memorised it,
Yeah.
and you were spouting. But the fact that we've done nothing but just spout a lot, whatever shite come into your brain
Absolutely.
at the time.
Do you know what
but I think that's what makes it so relaxed for us as well, because we don't really care if a mistake is made, if
we've
we
insulted.
talk over. I mean, somebody said, I remember saying to Cameron was showing me something that was being said on YouTube, and one was a big comment. I said, let's have a look at the comments on YouTube. And he said, and there was a big long comment. And I said, what was that? I couldn't actually see it. The type was so small. And Cam was a bit like, I said, no, what does it say? I wish that woman would stop talking over the two men. That's what the woman said.
Is that
And
D.
thank
Trump
you.
that put that down?
She was right, because I know I do it all the time, so I try my very best to not do that.
Can I just
But,
throw in, Christine, one? I hadn't really realised this for 50 years, that the songs our parents and our friends used to sing, I thought they were all Scottish songs. I thought Nobody's Child and the Crystal Chandelier, etc., were Scottish songs.
Yeah, you said
it was
that,
only
yeah.
I was in my 20s or even older when I realised they were country and western songs that real people sang.
I mean, do people even do that now when you think about the actions as well? I mean, I remember my dad used to sing, there was a soldier, and he always stood like that.
you guys.
And he never did that any other time in his
don't-
life, but I don't know, is that...
I don't
is that
think
the
people
thing?
do that now.
And do people like
'Cause
far
we're that-
away?
we're
and
that age
soldier,
now,
far
Christine.
away. Aye,
We're that
that's-
age and we don't do
that's
that.
true. Thank God.
So that's
So-
fine.
Speak for yourself.
What was it you were, Thomas?
Scotland to brave.
Scotland the Brave, Thomas. Scotland the Brave, yeah. And I was little donkey, but I would be sitting the whole night like that, dreading.
You think they'd forget about you? Never forget you.
Oh no, and it ruined my whole night. I just hoped one day that they would forget about me and it wouldn't come up, because I
maybe die or
couldn't
something
relax.
the day
I couldn't
before or
relax. Yeah. So we also talked as well about the music scene, Tommy, and you gave us quite a wee bit of insight into the music because you yourself were involved in the music. We were talking to a couple of the really quite famous bands that came to Glasgow during the 70s and in the 80s as well. We talked about David Bowie, Rolling Stones, all of that stuff.
And, well, right through from the 60s, see, it started off, I remember we were talking about that, and it started off where in the Odeon cinema, when I was telling that a lot of people don't realise that you know that because of the explosion of music, everybody thinks everything started at the Apollo
That's right.
in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they were all in the, I think, I don't know if I'm sure I mentioned it one time, I saw Jimi Hendrix's very first performance supporting Engelbert Humperdinck.
Oh my
Right,
goodness.
who was in the Odeon cinema.
Was this before it made into the 3 different cinemas?
Oh,
Tommy?
yeah.
So it must have been huge
No,
then.
it was
must
the
have
late
been-
that was
70s
why
that
it would be a
right.
2,000, 3,000
Big stage.
huge area. You know, I saw the Rolling Stones there and their first tour on that. I had lots of everything through Roy Orbison and all the Hollies. And just everybody that was anybody, the Small Faces.
Yeah.
No.
So Glasgow was it was on everybody's radar when they did a national
right.
tour, wasn't it? Very much
The
so.
Odeon cinema was, was just there's a story. It was an even time story. I'm sure at one time I think Dion Warwick got knocked down by a trolley bus who was silent. Don't forget,
electric.
trolley buses were electric, that ran there, and she just walked out in this. I think she could have been killed. I'm sure at the back, the stage door of the Odeon cinema, and onto the road, this blooming silent killer. Just now. I mean, electric cars
That's what they say about electric cars, isn't it?
It's the same thing. It's the same
They've
thing.
actually made them make a noise of something like they've made some sort of buzz thing.
I think there's been too many accidents and too many things because they're silent.
But that was for example. But lots and lots of
Can I
people.
just
And the Beatles as well.
I tell you, I saw Elton John.
Wow,
right,
yeah.
but when he was Reg Dwight.
Oh God!
Did you?
I never
Aye.
knew you ever went under Reg Dwight.
Have you played with somebody?
He was never billed. He was the piano player for Long John Baldy and the
I
Hoochie
remember that.
Coochie Men.
Oh, I
Hoochie Coochie
remember
He was a
that.
Hoochie Coochie Man.
Aye.
I remember
Right,
that. I do. Yeah.
and he was right. So
Mexico.
Right,
That
so
was a big hit record.
That's right.
Mexico.
That's it. Let the heartaches begin.
Oh, let the
was an
heartaches
hour.
begin. Yeah, that's
it.
nice.
But,
That's nice. Yeah.
That was a big.
That was a big venue then.
But I say Elton John or Reg Dwight as it was known
Reg
then
Dwight,
he was the keyboard player then.
My God.
Tommy, did you ever find out how much the tickets were to see the Beatles? I would guess it was less than £1.
Oh,
I bet it was maybe 7 and 6 or something like that.
Yeah. There's
Was that also in the Odeon, Tommy? The Beatles.
the Beatles played there. I think twice they played in the
Twice.
Odeon. But the very because I missed the very first time. I never ever saw the Beatles. No, I was real. I was call me chef.
Twice you were working.
I was always working. I was always doing the late shift. And I remember the very first time they played, and there was a Glasgow concert hall in Anderson. It was called in Argyle Street. That in the Anderson side. Where Raymond Stern? Where that?
Scottsdale?
Round about that area.
Was it?
Aye.
Right, okay.
The Glasgow Concert Hall. You can check this out. And the Beatles were supporting Roy Orbison, I think, and could be Cilla Black as well or something like that. But to see the Beatles were, and I remember, finishing as I call me chef, going for the bliss underneath the Healing Man's umbrella, and them walking along singing, Love Me Do and things like that. The girls and come
The
along
fans.
from there.
I'm just going to throw in, before I forget, that 7 and 6 was about 35 pence. So just so that people know, when I say 7 and 6,
right.
nobody under 60 is going to know what that was.
That's 7 and 6. That's
So it was
right.
40 pence.
That's right.
My God.
No,
They say the Beatles.
that was
Those
these
days.
were all these. As I say, that was the and they moved on now for your tea in the park and all these things. A lot of people have, Scotland has promoted a lot of things over the years,
That's good, yeah.
musically.
Definitely. I guess I never really thought till we did that episode much about music, because I'm not really a music fan as such. So I didn't really realise that Glasgow was definitely on the radar as national tours took place.
Yeah.
Would that be probably the only Scottish
Well,
date?
they were
do you
doing
think?
Ingleson,
Or would
remember
they,
the
would they do
Stones?
Edinburgh?
Stones did
Yeah,
Ingleson.
Yeah.
Well, that was later
Aye,
on. But, I mean,
2000s.
to do
The
to be,
90s,
well, they
2000s.
would probably. Don't forget, there would probably be Odeon Cinemas. Whoever promoted the tour, they might have done Aberdeen.
Right,
I'm sure they
right.
would maybe have done Aberdeen as well.
Right.
And Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm.
People from Glasgow or Edinburgh would think, I'm not going to Edinburgh to see somebody. It's too far.
That's an hour.
60s. In the 60s, Edinburgh's miles away. I'm not going there. Right? Now they're travelling, this away. Go to see Springsteen at Newcastle.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah, you can do that, no bother. Now you can
problem,
stay
yeah.
overnight. You can go to London. You can
Aye.
watch the Stones, make a weekend of it, or whatever. It's different days. So we also had your story, Tommy. We also had an episode devoted to you when you told your life story and how you started out in the bands and how it was kind of involved with religion and things in your church. You remember, Tommy?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
how and all that and how that all that kind of evolved to where you managed to get to.
It went on for so long that, do you know, I just, because I say we're just thinking off the top of our heads, and then there's only a certain amount of time. And I suddenly realised, I never mentioned that I did the middle of the road thing.
You did.
Right. No, you didn't.
No, you
No,
didn't.
I don't think
No,
so.
you didn't.
I
So
didn't.
tell us it
No.
now then.
No,
Well, at least we'll have a wee
No,
note of it.
No, I did the tours. Quite a few tours with Middle of the Road.
Middle of the Road
as well.
were very popular.
Singing
What would that be?
Tippy, cheap, cheap.
Aye. Would that be 70s,
That was
80s?
in the early 80s.
80s. Would that be a national tour, Tommy?
Oh no, it was European.
Big in
Oh,
Germany.
No, it was
right.
there's
really?
huge.
Right.
If it's kind of falling apart now, but
So would that be
they
like
could-
going to one country and having several dates?
Aye, yeah.
or
I know,
whatever?
I played in the Arctic Circle with them.
Oh my goodness,
Aye.
Tommy!
I
Goodness me!
played as far up as the Arctic Circle in the summer, mind you. In the summer.
Is there
Ah,
any?
yeah,
we're
but
in
cheating.
Wimp.
You shouldn't have said that.
Total
You just
wimp.
left it at the Arctic Circle.
You just think, I'll be chasing the polar bears away, for the stage. I say in Norway, it's I think.
The Bergen or someplace.
No, I think it was Trondheim it was called.
Right.
I think it was Trondheim, which is even further north. Played Bergen. Played Bergen. Missed Samantha Fox by about an hour because she'd gigged the night before in the
really?
same
I
place.
bet she was heartbroken. She never saw you.
And it's,
What was she doing? She's a
She was a
singer.
singer.
She was a singer.
actually
That's
sang
right.
and
That's
that
right.
things.
Quite a few hit records. I've got them.
Did.
Very good. Very good.
So,
Arctic Circle. That's impressive, isn't
Must
it?
mention that I'd done that. Which was
But I thought what was quite interesting was that it came from the church, because one of the things that I've always said about being brought, in our experience, being brought up in the 60s and 70s was that religion had a real strong thread that ran through our lives and through most of the, I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying the people that we knew were very much the same. It wasn't just church on a Sunday. It was like Stuart going to the boys' brigade. It was me
yeah.
going to the
Youth
girls' brigade.
fellowship and all
Youth
that.
fellowship, and my mum being in the Eastern Star. Don't talk about it. Don't ask me. I can't tell you.
it's been a women's
she a
guild.
fucking spy or something? This Russian spy? Something. And the Women's Guild. And the only one that wasn't involved was my dad, actually, because my dad worked a lot of evenings and didn't tend to get involved. And he went on a Sunday. But apart from that, it was a part of your life.
Aye, yeah, that's
Definitely.
right. I can, in fact, I can still play table tennis. As well,
I've got a lot to
quite
do
good
with the
table
youth.
tennis player because you went to youth fellowship.
Yeah, yeah.
know.
So it wasn't a bad
And
thing
pool,
to do.
because you'd
Yeah.
a wee billiard table, wee tinies,
Aye,
things like
aye,
that.
Aye, but it wasn't a bad way.
No,
you know,
no,
we could be doing a
absolutely
lot worse things than
No,
that.
I mean, most people
in,
were.
in the city.
Aye,
Yeah,
aye.
definitely. And one of the other things so that was a great story, Tommy. And at the end of your story, Stuart told the other story about the Chinese takeaway.
in Launceston. It was
And
Launceston.
when you were
In
looking for that cider, what's it called, scrumpy.
Scrumpy, aye.
You were looking for scrumpy, and you tried a couple of places, and you weren't getting very far. And then finally, somebody said, "If you go down there, you'll get it." But it was too late, and just as you bought it was time to leave. And what happened after that? So that was a great story.
That's in fact, I actually said while I was on holiday, it was because we were talking about we had the shell suits on, and somebody come
Makes
in.
me quiver thinking about it.
There was a woman, and when I was on holiday, right, and she come down, and there was no dress code in this hotel. You know, these hotels sometimes have
they do.
especially an evening dress
Yes,
code.
definitely.
But
Yeah.
I think because of the time of year, and it was also
Old folk.
senior citizens that were there.
Been there.
Right. So they're doing, and so anyway, suddenly this woman appeared, and she looked like an extra from Arabian Nights from Scheherazade. Is it Scheherazade?
Oh, very good.
Because it was all diaphanous stuff that she'd on, and she had and sequins, and she'd a pair of long kind of right. If you imagine
like shells,
sequined baggy trousers,
All right.
but they were like a see-through material. What's that? What kind of see-through?
Chiffon.
Like netting,
Like
can
a
I?
netting type
Aye.
see-through material
Right.
with some stars in it, right?
Well, I can see
And
you
and
fucking
I
it's
immediately
every,
took
it's
notice.
every
You took
fucking
notice.
detail
I
here.
couldn't have missed this. She's
No,
standing
you're
right in
awful.
front of me waiting for the man to make her a blooming grilled chicken sandwich or something. And as she's standing there, and I looked there and I turned to her and I went, "You from Circus?" Because she fucking looked like no.
So it looked like
one of the
a female version
one
of
of
us.
these women. They used to have. Remember, they used to sit on top of the elephants' heads. When
Oh,
they,
yeah,
when they had
yeah.
those things that they used to have a blooming headdress in the elephants that was
Aye.
the diamonds sparkling,
Aye,
and they'd have a woman in the
Aye.
top.
A chorus
She
girl,
looked
it would be,
that.
aye.
She looked like a
The
blooming.
chorus girl on a night off.
She looked as if she's from Circus. It came to me, and
Yeah.
I thought, "You from Circus?"
So that was a great story, wasn't it?
Oh,
I mean,
that's Tommy
people on
deserves
TikTok loved that. It was a really good story.
Praise for being as quick as that.
Yeah.
You know, and it totally worked, fortunately.
Yeah.
They absolutely
Actually, I
shit
mean,
themselves and left.
I mean, the Tommy I know, which I don't really know you at all in many ways, Tommy, because although we met when I was very young and you were very young, you know, we don't really see each other. So I have learned and feel as if I've got to know you. But even at that, I'm still quite shocked that Tommy would use that kind of language. I mean, is that not
It was
unusual for
appropriate.
Tommy?
Yes,
it was
it was
at the time,
appropriate,
but he's not a
Christine.
swearer. You and I, and every second word is
Are
an
we
F, and we fuck. So, fuck off, Stuart. But Tommy isn't.
No, he's not.
No,
Tommy,
we had. Don't forget, this was
A couple
after
of-
the scrumpy and
Yeah.
then the pints for
Right.
the pub.
We must have had 2
You know,
pints, so
in the
2 years
pub,
were flying.
That's it. Oh, that's it.
Plus
That's
the
it.
scrumpy.
I'm still known as Toucan Tam.
I can't say any more than that.
So then, kind of latterly, we came to your adventure story, Stuart, which lasted 5 episodes. So But I kind of was just thinking that there was so many gems in that book. And we've had a couple of people asking, as you know, for the PDF of the book, which is very nice too. And I just felt that there wasn't any way where we could really leave out some of the story. It was just too good. And so I think it warranted five episodes, and it was a great story. I don't know if you watched it when you were on holiday, Tommy, but maybe you'll get a chance to watch it when you're back. But it really is a great story, and I just think we tried to pack as much into each episode as we could. It could have actually gone on for 10 if we hadn't been quite strict in packing everything into it and making sure that you're able to kind of relive and retell the stories again.
There was one that I should have said, and I just remembered it last week, was when I was in Tunisia. I was in that guy Khalid's house up in the mountains in Tunisia, and the house is totally modern inside. I mean, it was just unusual looking, and they had the chickens at the top.
Oh yeah,
but it was lovely inside. The only thing it was strange was they had a toilet with a cistern, but they didn't have a switch or a plug. What do you do? And what you did was they had like big things like walks, the kind of things that sailors use to bail out boats, big metal things with handles.
Oh yeah.
And what you did, and they were lying in the bath.
Right.
So what you did was you just poured water in them, or poured it into the bath and scooped it out and flushed it with the water. And I don't understand that.
Would it automatically flush when it got this
water
water in it?
That's all its system is.
Right,
It just releases water and it goes down and it flushes it all away, right?
So that's so.
So anyway, I'm sitting there, and I'm looking about, and I'm sitting like this, and right at that level there's just a wee tiny kind of shelf thing, a wee tiny shelf, and there's one bottle of green stuff on it, and this looks like soap or shampoo, right? But there's no toilet paper.
Oh no!
I went, oh, thank you.
No hose.
No.
No
I thought,
hose.
oh, well,
God.
obviously, you use this stuff. You scoop up the water, or you go to the sink, whatever, and you use this stuff as soap, and you put it on your nether regions. And then,
why the fuck would you think that?
Well, it's there for a reason, and there's no toilet paper, so I need to do something.
Well, I don't know if I want to know what
No,
happens
it's okay.
next.
Well, I just covered myself in the soap stuff, and then I get the thing in it, and I flush it well, and I'm flushing it well, and I'm feeling a bit nippy later on, And I says to Khalid, I says, "Hey, see that bottle, the green bottle? Is that soap?" He goes, "No, that's bleach. For the toilet." So I'd spent quite a painful night, right? But I wakes up in the morning and I looks down and I'm like a badger. Black and white stripes. And I thought, luckily I didn't go completely
funny,
platinum blonde. That would have been hilarious. And I thought Debbie Harry's finally come to see me, I've been dreaming about this for years. She's here. But no. And I thought, if I get arrested, they'll think I'm a perv. Because who would put streaks down there?
How strange. Did you ever actually find out why they didn't have toilet paper?
No,
they just forgot or something?
I don't know. I was too embarrassed to ask.
God's sake. Enough. So we did cover all of that, and people seemed to like that as well. So that was good, and it was well worth it. And it was just funny, Tommy, that it was actually 10 years. Stuart went away in 2014 in February, and we started to film this in February 2024. So it was actually the 10-year anniversary, which was lovely. And it was a nice way. It was a nice way to do it.
Plenty of material while I was away.
Plenty of material with that alone.
We're going to have a Slate and Tommy McNee one. We'll still to do that. I'll wait you go home. We're doing it next week.
That's another 5 episodes.
We'll turn it down a bit. We'll cut back to 5.
So a couple of the highlights were, I think, to my own surprise, the Cartier bracelet story, which it was Cam that put that into 3 episodes, and people were saying, hurry up, part 3. I'm heavily invested into this now. That was one of the comments.
Do you know, I've never even heard that,
was lovely.
I mean, I've never lived in the kind of area of where people have Cartier bracelets. I've never even heard it.
I think most people won't have, because I only know about these things because these are the delusional side of me that knows
but you were
about
mixing with
things
the
like
kind of
that.
people as an employee, basically. your guests would probably be having stuff like that, so you would see
But I
them
would
then.
also have a wee look in the Argyle arcade and think, well, that's the fucking boy for me. One
I
of
would
these
have been
days.
thinking that.
Oh, a Cartier bracelet. Oh, fucking beautiful. I mean, lovely. And then, of course, I met a woman in Holiday who also had a Cartier bracelet, and she had one as well. And I went,
Your sisters.
oh, she says, you've got, because I mean, they're quite a rare thing to see. They're very expensive, you know.
I bet you're about 30 grand now, Christine.
I think
if
they're-
that was 5 grand 30 years ago or whatever.
No, I think they're about 12. I had a wee look.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Oh, well,
yeah.
okay.
Beautiful. It depends what you can have. I mean, I wrongly said mine was silver. We
said
don't actually know to this day. It was actually white gold. So you can have white gold, you can have the standard yellow gold, and you can have rose gold. You can choose whichever one you wanted. So mine was a white gold one. But
Is that,
that's
most,
what
is
they
that
are.
the most valuable one?
I think it is, yeah.
Because
But
I know the
about
other
12,
ones have
something
got
like
copper in them, and the darker it is, like the rose gold must be more copper. But I mean, gold has went up probably 10 times in 40 years, Christine.
That's what it looked like. But it's a beautiful
Have you
thing. And it's
kept it?
a
Have you
beautiful
kept it?
story.
It's about £2,000 for an ounce per ounce.
Is it?
No, an ounce of gold.
Is it?
I didn't know what an ounce of gold looked like. But
No,
it sounds like a lot of
neither
money.
did I. Yeah. Anyway, it was a lovely thing for a month. It was a lovely thing
It's
for a
about,
month.
it's about the size of a Dairy Lee
Oh, is it?
section.
Is it?
Is it? Oh,
A
is it?
triangle?
Yeah.
I'd probably not even as much as that. No,
I wonder
Probably
if there's people
half
that
a
were-
Dairy Lee triangle or something like that. It's about an ounce.
If there was people that saw me when I was on holiday and I was swimming like that to keep the Cartier bracelet out the water just in
case
case,
there was a
just
ring
in
formed
case,
round your
in
wrist.
case I had the green mark when I come out. So I liked that story, and I liked the story with when we were talking about me in the pubs and how that guy was saying to me, I want 5 pints of lager, and I couldn't understand him and all that, and that was quite a funny.
Every
That was quite
Glaswegian
a
would
funny.
know that.
The
Everybody's been
amount
there.
of comments we got on that one was just unbelievable, and the guy was saying I was that guy. Good times, just the arsey barmaids, which I thought was quite funny, and a lot of people actually saying, "Oh, I remember that." Both the barmaids were talking about, I remember it, and other people were talking about, I remember it, because I was the drunk guy too. And the other thing that got a lot of views was when we talked about the regimental dinners, the regimentalness of Monday stews, Tuesday, and everybody. I used to think that was just our family that was like that, but it seems so. It must have been a thing. Were you like that as well, Tommy? Were yours?
I think everybody.
Must have been everybody then at
just
that
the same
time.
sort of
Well, if you
thing.
think about it, not many people had fridges. Nobody had freezers, and it's an easy thing
Pantries
to
we
do.
had. We had a
I
pantry.
had a pantry,
Yeah.
aye. But I think it's quite practical because you knew what you were going to do, and nobody
know.
complained. It's not as if anybody in the family said, "Let's mix it up a bit."
Yeah.
I was quite happy knowing what I was getting
Yeah.
every night.
But of course, in those days as well, the women shopped every day.
That's right,
So,
yeah.
so it was very much
Aye,
the daily shopping.
that's right, because of
and if you had
the
a
lack of
family, if you bought
fridges.
enough mince, that would do for the 4 people or however many people it was. If one shop would do that one night, so you need to go out the next day to get the next day's dinner to make sure everything was fresh. And
That's it. So
one
you
thing
had
we
your
used to eat a lot
fishmonger
of.
and your butcher.
Yeah, that's right. And everything was
green
fresh.
grocer.
Yeah. One thing I never see people using now, or even when I look for like something like a steak pie, you used to get steak and kidney pies. And you don't really see that now. You don't see kidneys.
I think Frey Bentos
They still do this. Yes,
They do chicken as well.
I think if they,
That's a bit.
no,
Softy.
they're ridiculous price now.
Is it? Much are they now,
Drop the
Tommy?
pound
No, I
market.
think they're about 175.
Oh, no.
Almost doubled in price. You're into B&M. B&M sell them.
Do they?
Oh, yes.
And you get
But
dirty.
there's a lot of choices now, Tommy. You can get chicken.
That's it, you get chicken.
And one of them had an all-day breakfast.
Is it?
In
And a
that
pie?
tin. In that
That's
tin.
it.
Yeah,
that
in
right?
that tin. Yeah, I'd never seen that before.
Absolutely. Tin food, and
We talked about that before, didn't we? It lasts forever.
And great sophistication developed in that, Once
So it moved on. You stopped at Frey Bentos.
the minute Heinz put sausages and beans
Yes.
in a tin.
Yes.
No, sausages and beans
Exotic.
in a tin. Oh,
How did he do
come
it?
on.
But remember you as well, Stuart, were talking about how you were at somebody's wedding and they brought out something at a wedding anniversary, and they'd said, we got this chicken in a tin.
Yes, Christine, it was their 50th wedding anniversary, and somebody gave them it as a Christmas present, as a wedding present, and they put it away, and they said, we're going to open this at our 50th wedding anniversary. No many people make that, but they did make it. But they get somebody in, a chemist or somebody in, once they opened it, to inspect it and check it, and it was okay.
Amazing.
And they ate it. But
amazing,
but that's apparently, if it's never damaged, as long as the tin inside that seals it is never damaged, it'll last forever.
You can see that the tin becomes blown.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You can see
if it's damaged.
If it's been bumped. If it's been bumped inside, and it may be out misshapen. Right. And then what happens, for some reason, there's any air that's been trapped inside it develops bacteria.
Of course.
The tin blows.
Of course. Right. That makes sense.
You can see that it swells up.
Don't open it.
That makes
straight
sense.
in the bin.
So,
that makes sense. That makes sense. Any other best bits you want to mention before we close?
Can I throw in?
What about your wee stories? Have we heard them all?
The one about the first dates. I think this is one of the funniest stories and most embarrassing moments in my life. When I met Geraldine, I met Geraldine as a taxi driver, and I tried to get in contact with her for 18 months, or for a wee while anyway. And about 18 months later, I met up with her completely by accident in Spain, and we spoke it in the evening, and the next day I said, "Want to go out somewhere? That'd be nice." So we're wondering about the harbour or whatever, and there's glass bottom boats trip, and I thought, I've never been in that, and Geraldine hadn't been either. So I quite fancy that. So we go down and we're sitting in the glass bottom boats, and I need to describe it because this is quite a major factor in what went wrong. The glass bottom, this was built, obviously it's no glass, it's perspex, the bottom is made of perspex, and it's quite deep, so you can see quite a lot, and above it there's a foot rail. Right, and then above that there's the seats,
seating area,
but you're facing each other.
Right.
You're facing each other, and you're obviously so that you can look down. Everybody's looking down, but the backs are quite high, so that you can lean back, because this is the position you're in. Normally in a boat you're sitting like this, and here's the water here, and you can look at the water.
Yeah.
But this you're not. You look. It's a completely different angle.
Yeah.
So this is the shape of the boat. So the boat trip lasts an hour. And the guy says, so we go for 20 minutes to an area where you get really good things to see, which is true. They were lovely. Yeah, and on the way you get to see things. So 20 minutes there, 20 minutes travelling, 20 minutes there, and 20 minutes back. So we're fine. So we're on the boat. It's a lovely day. It's really quite hot, and it's quite a lot of waves going on. And up until then, I didn't realise that it was a big outboard motor on the back. Some outboard motors are powered by diesel. Yeah, I didn't know that. And diesel smells quite strong, especially in the heat. It's really quite strong. So we're grog, and I'm getting a wee bit seasick. So we're about looking down, and it's fine. There's maybe 20 people on this boat. It's quite a big boat, 10 each side, and the guy driving it. So I'm sitting away. And we gets to the area where we stop, and there's lots of things, and there's like unusual plants and wee things moving about, and we're just sitting there, and the boat's rocking it. Of course, the engine's off by this time, and it's rocking about, but it was leaking diesel.
Oh.
And I could smell it. I'm feeling sick here. And when I love a big buffet breakfast. So of course in the morning I had a stuff in my face with everything that was ever going, eggs and sausages, everything, rolls, everything. So I'd eaten too much, and I'm sitting in this, and it's rolling and rolling. And what can you say? You can't say anybody.
And was it completely full of people?
Yes, about 10 people each side.
Oh my God.
So I was sitting for about 10, 15, and Gerald says, what's wrong? I'm fine, I'm feeling fine. And then I finally I spewed this huge amount of stuff onto the perspex, the glass, and the glass bottom boat. Now, the thing is, you can't get rid of that. They didn't have anything to bail it out with. And how could you even do that anyway? I think you need to turn the boat up on its side.
Down.
Now, the thing is as well, everybody is built, the whole boat is built, so you're looking at this, and it's floating up and down like that on the boat. God. So the guy just decides, he's raging, but he keeps his cool, he's raging at me. Everybody else is looking at me in total disgust. So we finally drives, and it's the longest 20 minutes of my life till we get back, and I couldn't get off the boat quick enough and just bolt. And luckily, I'd never recognised any of the people again. They probably went back and said, this drunk guy must have been drunk for the night before, but it's nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It was a boat and the
The
diesel,
diesel
fuel.
smell.
So beat that for a first date.
Yeah. And she's still here today.
She's still here.
And she's still here today.
She must have saw
She must
something
have
in
been
me
keen.
that I didn't
She
see.
must have been keen.
No, the fact that she'd been a taxi driver, you know what the taxi
Oh,
drivers
that's
do.
true, Tommy. They've
Back-
seen-
back to the guy that
Back to
cleans
the
it. And
garage.
says, it's 25 quid, mate.
Aye.
You know.
They know all about sicknesses, don't they, taxi drivers? So there we end our podcast. We have to say how much we've enjoyed being with you, and we really hope that you have enjoyed our 25 episodes as well. We hope to continue on Facebook, so we hope to see you there. And I just want to say a few thank yous, obviously, to Cam, Podcast Studio Glasgow, for giving me the opportunity to start my own podcast last year. So that's a whole year I've been doing this now, and for this second podcast that we'll be doing. So thank you, Stuart. Thank you,
Pleasure to be
Tommy.
here.
And also want to thank Stuart's wife Geraldine, who has driven him up and down from Argyll, and probably far too many times. And it's a lot to do, and it's a long drive, and even in the winter when the weather wasn't very good. So just want to say thanks, Geraldine. Really appreciate that. And so here comes the end. So we just want to say thank you. Hope you've enjoyed us. We've really enjoyed your company. We've enjoyed all your comments on TikTok, all your comments and new followers on Instagram as well. And we hope to see you in the future in Facebook. So I'm going to hand it to you guys in case you just want to say anything before we close today.
Thank you, Christine, for the opportunity of doing this. It was great. Thanks
Yeah.
for all the kind comments.
Yes. Yeah.
And to Tommy, my pal Tommy.
Yeah,
for
thanks,
coming along.
Tommy.
It
It's been lovely.
Made a big difference for us.
It did make a big difference.
Well, I hope I made some difference anyway.
Of course you have.
That's it.
Of course you have.
But I'd like to thank you for Christine for even inviting me along.
Oh, it's been lovely to have you.
I advise
Any
everyone to do it.
conference.
It's been lovely to have you. It was a
And I
good
thought-
decision.
I know,
It was a good
I
decision
just
to have
thought,
you.
What are you doing hanging out with that bastard?
Again.
There is
Oh, there
more.
you are. Your true self come out there in the
yeah,
end.
yeah.
Couldn't keep it in.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep it in.
No,
Yeah.
no, but no, it really has been. It's
been great fun, hasn't
over
it?
the time, the fact that I didn't realise I'd become a TikTok star. So obviously, I'd like to thank Thomas, my grandson, for
Of course.
pointing that out to me.
Of
I'd like
course.
to thank my wife, Maureen, who is patiently waiting.
Is
You know, for me to come back with a fish supper or something. No, so,
Good.
right.
And also to your daughter as well, who was very helpful on Facebook and very, very supportive of you, Tommy.
Oh,
Maureen.
Maureen.
Yeah, so that was
Mother,
nice
daughter,
too.
I need to mention Michelle.
Of
as
course
well.
you must
That's one
mention
thing
Michelle.
because,
Of course.
no,
Keep it right, keep
they've
it
all got
balanced.
No, yes,
Good.
I'm fortunate that I'm blessed with these people in my life.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
Of course.
They don't think that, but I am.
Okay, so on
Right.
that happy note, we will say goodbye. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for being with us on our journey, and we all wish you all the best. Thanks for your support. Bye-bye.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye.